What if we name things for what they're not? We'd give teachers non-oranges and fly non-cars. Ridiculous. So why is your world-changing organization called a nonprofit? Truth is, you're for purpose, and the more you raise, recruit, and retain, the more good you can do. That's why Bloomerang's giving platform is built for purpose, with insights that help unleash generosity. That means less admin and more impact. Learn how you can raise 26% more at bloomerang.co/purpose and profit. Welcome to the Purpose and Profit Club podcast for nonprofit leaders, mission-driven creatives, and social entrepreneurs. Get ready to stop dreaming and start doing. Here, ideas become action. We prioritize purpose and profit. You ready? Let's go. Today's episode is a special one because if you're a nonprofit and you've been wanting to join my program, you've been wanting to make the investment, and you've been wanting support in any way, shape, or form to grow your impact, to grow your nonprofit, this episode is for you. And this episode is perfect to share with your board. So if you want your board to better understand the challenges you face, to better understand what's possible and how you can get support in the club, share this episode with them. And if you're that board member and you're listening to me, hi, welcome. I'm excited to have you here. So I'm Christina Edwards. I'm going to share today a couple of different things. I'm going to share why old school fundraising isn't cutting it anymore. I'm going to share the changes in the nonprofit sector. And I'm going to share how boards can best support leadership, executive directors, nonprofit fundraisers, and marketers to raise and impact more. This is the work we do inside my coaching program, the Purpose and Profit Club. So I just got off a call with my clients, and at the beginning of the call, we were focusing all on Social Street Team. And at the beginning of the call, I talked to them about year-end fundraising. And really, this time of year, all of us are looking back and going, how did last year go? What worked? And if you're in the segment that says, last year didn't go great, or it felt really hard, or I feel like I worked more, or maybe you're like a lot of people that are coming to me who said, we hit our goal, but it took more to get there, right? It took more effort. It took more time. It took more power to get there. And now I feel stressed, depleted, burnt out. If that's you, that's a Social Street Team problem, meaning the lack of having a Social Street Team is why you're in this place. So many clients come to me and they've got big, bold goals, right? They want to double their next fundraiser. They want to grow a program. They want to acquire land. They want to buy a building. They want to bring on a full-time staffer, right? Whatever those goals are. I'm like, guess what solves that problem? Money, right? Fundraising revenue solves that problem. And the way you've been doing it isn't getting you there, right? It's just kind of getting you status quo. What I've seen a lot happen in the sector is donor habits have changed. The way that you used to be able to prospect and lead gen and upgrade and solicit donors isn't working anymore because habits have changed, right? So the for-profit sector has adapted to these changes, and my clients have adapted to this change. And so they're seeing amazing results, and the rest of y'all are lagging behind. Okay. And that's when we see either dips in revenue, plateau in revenue, or just general kind of overwhelm and burnout. Okay. So first I want to anchor in on what is a Social Street Team, because I'm going to talk a lot about that today. That is a method that I created. I teach inside my coaching program where you partner with influencers, creators, and digital ambassadors all online with in-kind free partnerships. These are not paid partnerships to raise your visibility, advocate for your cause, and fundraise. Now, the creator economy is a $127 billion industry. You cannot say this is a fad. You cannot say that this is a trend. This is growing. I can look at that stacked up to something like direct mail, which at best is just seeing plateaued growth, right? And meanwhile, the rise of the creator economy is just, it's like up into the right, huge. Okay. So what we do is I teach how to tap into and partner with aligned influencers to raise that visibility and funding for your cause. That's why I say, if you didn't hit your goal last year, or you're barely squeaking by with like incremental growth, it's because you don't have a street team. Now, I love a street team because it solves two problems. One, it helps you to stop solo fundraising. So for smaller shops where fundraising is one single person doing this, the executive director, it feels like, man, all I do is this all day, every day, right? And it feels very heavy. It feels like it's all consuming. It feels like you're kind of saying the same thing over and over again, and it's a little maddening, right? And it also feels like a lot of pressure, a lot of weight, okay? So a street team alleviates that pressure because you literally mobilize your street team when you are fundraising, okay? So when you are going to get ready for your Giving Tuesday campaign, for your spring event, for your summer something, right? You mobilize your street team, and suddenly, instead of you fundraising all by yourself, crossing your fingers, begging, hoping, praying, right? You have a team saying, we're in, put me in, coach, we're ready. How do we use our platforms for good? They want to do this. These are influencers and creators who oftentimes have tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands, or millions of followers online. And I was saying to my clients today, these people, their audience is used to shopping with them, making buying decisions, right? So for example, I follow a interior designer, and she shares a lot of home decor stuff, and it'll be all over the place. It'll be, low and high end stuff, right? And so she really appeals to a wide audience. And if she says to me something like, my husband loves this robe and here's why he loves it, and I know her aesthetic and her vibe is similar to mine, I've been following her over years, I trust her. So when she shares a link to that, and this happened in real life, I bought the robe. He loves the robe. Okay. So people are already used to making buying decisions from those influencers. And so the value of that endorsement is so much more valuable than just an ad or something like that, because there's a trusted endorsement there. Okay. So I love it for a small shop because your street team helps you stop solo fundraising. Now, if you're a larger organization where maybe you have an executive director, a major gifts officer, a development person fundraising too, here's why I love it. You're still stuck in this, what I call like ominous brand fundraising, ominous brand storytelling, sterile, generic, ominous marketing. And a street team completely releases you of that. So you still are doing your fundraising appeals. You're still doing your online fundraisers. You're still rolling out great email and social content. That's happening, but there's so much less of this, like, it feels like a megaphone where you're just screaming at people and you're like, this is what our mission does. Help us get to 50K. Help us get to, we got a donor match, right? Where you're just talking at large audiences. And instead, suddenly you're multiplying yourself. If you've ever seen that movie, Multiplicity, it's an old one, but I rewatched it recently. It's pretty funny, with Michael Keaton. And he literally multiplies himself as a stay-at-home dad. He's like, this is hard. And so he multiplies himself. He has him, and he becomes like superstar dad and husband. And then he has business. Oh, he's not a stay-at-home dad. He's the working father. So he multiplies. So like one iteration of him is doing that. Another iteration of him is doing, I think, like household chores, cooking, cleaning, things like that. He's multiplying himself. That's kind of what we're doing with the street team. So you yourself are still doing your normal fundraising activities, but I find two things. One, a lot less like white knuckle pressure. And then there's a buzz and hype and energy and momentum, because you log into Instagram, you log into TikTok, you log into LinkedIn, and suddenly your organization is tagged in posts from influencers with huge engaged audience advocating and fundraising for you. Think about how that would feel, right? It feels amazing. And I want to offer, it also feels amazing for the influencer. The data shows us they want to use their platforms for good, and nonprofits aren't asking. So you, board member, please listen up here. Be the pioneer here. Be the nonprofit in your city that's like, we're going to do this first. This is such untapped like gold. This is untapped opportunity for your nonprofit to invest in this. And when I look at I think of a pie chart of how your nonprofit is bringing in funding. Maybe you're bringing in funding through major gifts, sponsorships, online fundraisers, grants, events, et cetera, et cetera. I want your street team to be part of that pie. And so instead of waiting on, a 9-month grant that you may or may not get that took you 60 hours to pour your heart, soul, and time into, right? Instead, you're like, Christina, this next launch, we have a street team who are mobilizing for this big campaign, and we 5x'd our goal. This happened. True story, not unicorn. My clients regularly double their fundraiser year over year. We have a client in the club who reported back that she 3x'd her year over year campaign against last year and the prior year, 3x, tripled. Many of our clients are doing that. They're unlocking more funding. And it's not like she worked more hours. It's not like these organizations suddenly hired, 5 staff members to go find major gift prospects. And no. Instead, we are mobilizing a street team. This is the secret to fast tracking not only your growth, but I find this awareness. Okay. This awareness piece. So I'm going to drill down. I'm going to take it a little more to the point of view of a nonprofit leader who wants to join the club, or if you're a board member and you're listening, you're like, okay, I'm into it, but I got to get the rest of my board into it too. So I'm going to go from that lens for a couple of minutes here. So if you're like most nonprofits out there, you're looking at your budget and it's increased, right? You need more funding. I had a call with one of my clients and they were sharing, just because of rising costs, even just to status quo their programs and staff, they need more funding. It literally costs more to exist, right? So you want to grow. You want your mission to grow. You don't even want to just homeostasis exist. You want your impact to grow. You want to serve more people, right? So how are you going to do that? If it's not this. So if you're like, okay, Christina, it's not going to be with influencers and ambassadors. What's your plan? What is the alternative? Ask your board members that question. I see that you would like us to bring in 10% more funding this year, 20% more funding this year. How are we going to do that with our existing strategies? How are we going, and this is a big one, how are we going to do that with our existing donor base? So this happens with a lot with organizations that are over, I'd say 10 years old, who've been around, 20 years old, 30 years old. They have a lot of existing donors that they are going to again and again and again. You know the feeling. If you're the fundraiser, you know the feeling. You're like, I keep going to the same group again and again and again. You're not doing any new donor acquisition. There's no lead gen happening. And that is a recipe for just drying up, right? You've got to bring in new donors at all ages and especially new donors at younger generations. And that's why I love social media for this. We love tapping into the creator economy for that reason alone, is we know you can tap into Gen Z and millennials. And you can meet people on their preferred platform where they are. And this is the most fun part, dear board member. It isn't about your organization suddenly going viral and learning about TikTok or becoming the best YouTuber and having hundreds of thousands or millions of subscribers on YouTube. I don't even want your organization to spend a lot of time creating your own social content. Yeah, I said it. Your social media, that is not what I'm saying. Instead, I want you to flip your social strategy on its head and spend your marketing, air quotes, time developing relationships with influencers and creators so they are leveraging their content, creating their content, sharing your content to raise visibility, awareness, and fundraise for you. So it isn't about having these perfectly polished, latest social media accounts. No, we're partnering with people who are already, this is their zone of genius, okay? So if you are a nonprofit leader or maybe you're a board member and you're trying to get more buy-in with your board, you want to talk to them about what you'll create in the next 6 to 12 months of the club. So we see our clients double their online fundraiser just by mobilizing a street team. And a street team is something that you add onto. So we start with your first 10, for example, and those 10 don't go away. You add on to it. So many of my clients started with their first 5 or 10. Now they have 20, 30, 50. Think about that. It's very similar, and we can use this in a lot of different ways. You can use it for online fundraisers, events, but I want you to think about it almost in the way of like recurring giving or retention. You're retaining those street teamers because they love the experience, and it is so reciprocal and such an important part of their philanthropic goals and value system to be a part of your organization. They stay on with you long term. Very, very like key way to help you grow. Imagine this, it's 2025 and your fundraiser has doubled in size. You've created an unstoppable movement and your board, speechless. Your impact, record-breaking. On Thursday, January 30th at 1 p.m. Eastern, I'm hosting a free live webinar. 2x your fundraiser and leave your board speechless. I'll share how you can turn casual donors into loyal advocates. Tap into the $127 billion creator economy with free influencer partnerships, all without adding to your workload. Plus, we'll kick open doors to my group coaching program, The Club, with a bonus only available to webinar registrants. This is your moment to ditch slow growth and create a movement and make 2025 your breakthrough year. Click the link in the show notes to grab your free spot. I want you to think about outlining a case for support. You can just bullet this out. Like, why do we need to do this now? And a good way to come up with your unique case for support will be to look at, like, what did we do last year? What did we try? What was a time suck and didn't work? What did we do that did work, but didn't work as well as it did the years before? What did we think would work really well and didn't? What is taking the most time and bandwidth, but isn't bringing in the most ROI? And if you have board members who are like, hey, I've been reading about recurring giving, we need to have recurring giving, we need a monthly giving program, and that's something they're really like prioritizing, I want to say, great, number one, I agree. And that's what many of the clients in the club are actually using their street team to do. Okay. So you get to decide what is the strategy or what is the goal we want to use a street team to help accomplish. Recurring giving is one. We have another client in the club who says, Christina, I know I shouldn't say this, but funding is actually really, really good. We're good on funding. Where we need some help is program enrollment. And I'm like, street team all day, every day. Your street team can help you with your program enrollment 100%. So your street team gets to be your rockstar fundraisers, your great advocates, your retention piece. You can kick off monthly donors with this. You get to activate them when you need them for the use case you need them. So bullet out all of the initiatives your board have said, wouldn't it be cool if? Now, if your board has ever said, wouldn't it be cool if we could have Oprah post about our organization, or we could partner with a celebrity, right? Here's the distinction. The best street teamers may be creators with 1 million followers on YouTube or subscribers, and they may not have been anyone you or I have heard of. So I love it because they are thought leaders, but they're not necessarily celebrities. And in fact, you don't need a celebrity. You need somebody with mission alignment. So some of our best street teamers are not necessarily like household names, but wow, did they have engaged audiences online? And so do micro ones. Micro ones can be great too, where they have 5,000, 10,000 followers too. So they're really, really great for that. And I have combined the process so we can actually bring in your street team of influencers and combine them with your volunteer and like what I call like superstar ambassadors. Sometimes that's board members, volunteers, people, community members, and we actually combine them together, and they are an amazing mix of change makers. If your board says, this isn't in the budget, here's what I would tell them. Of course it's not in the budget, right? Of course, many organizations aren't putting in continuing education programs in the budget. And from now on, I would add that to the budget. That should be something that is included, period, full stop, year after year after year. How is your organization supposed to hit your strategic plan without having guidance, support, training, and tools to do it. The for-profit sector does. Have you seen the continuing ed budget of employees at Google, Microsoft, MailChimp, right? They get to go to conferences. They have money to spend every single year. Not only does that help with employee retention, but it helps them do their job. So continuing education should from now on be in the budget. The second thing is how does your board handle things that are not in the budget that literally come up all the time? You know it and I know it. There are circumstances that come up throughout the year that aren't in the budget, right? Hey, we need this piece of equipment. We need a new roof. We need X, Y, or Z. How are we going to fund it? It's not in the budget. What does your board do when that happens? This is a time for an emergency session. This is a time to call 1, 2, 3 trusted major donors and ask them to sponsor you or fund this investment. You need to paint the picture of the result that you're going to create in the club. So you get to decide what am I building my street team for? How will this help me accomplish my goal? And this is my favorite part. The process I learn inside the club is something that will compound, is something we will create an SOP for inside our organization, is something that will leave our organization better in years to come. This is not something one or done. So you're not taking this investment and saying, boom, we spent it on a first class ticket and that was fun, right? A one and done experience. You're saying we invested in our staff, we invested in our organization, and now we have a process. So literally, anytime we need funding, we can run a campaign with a street team. Anytime we need awareness, anytime we need events, ticket sales. We have a client who she sells out her event tickets now. They'll sell out 1 to 2 weeks earlier than ever before. She never used to sell out her events. Now they're selling out, right? Anything that you want to help your organization accomplish faster, collapsing the timeline, bringing in more funding, you can use a street team for. I've been saying lovingly, get your board on board or get left behind. Get your board on board or get left behind. So 10 years from now, you're going to see this is way more normal in the nonprofit space. Don't wait 10 years. Don't wait till everybody's doing it. I have friends. I actually have family members. I have colleagues. I am constantly DMing them who are creators and influencers and saying, hey, have any nonprofits reached out to you to partner? And I would say 90% of the time they say no. Have nonprofits reached out to you about anything? Advocacy? Nothing? No. Now, the 10% of the time that the person says, yeah, actually helped them with one of their fundraisers and it was really cool. And I never heard from them again. They said, thank you. And then that was it. You guys, this is just such ripe, uncharted territory. It doesn't take a lot of time and it's not hard. We have clients in the club who are using support staff, who are using virtual assistants, who are using admin, who are using more junior employees, who are using interns to help them with their influencer outreach. This doesn't take a lot of time. We have trackers, we have pitch templates, we have pre-written scripts, we have workflows. So it's very, very easy. It is just, am I committing to it? Am I doing it? And am I not kicking the can further down and going maybe next year while also being frustrated with how this year went, right? You with me? Next point. Like most things that I find are, very common in boards, you're probably not going to get 100% of boards being like, I totally get this. And this makes a lot of sense. And I'm so, so excited, right? You with me? So that's okay. I like to go into these conversations knowing that not everyone's going to get it. And that's okay because I get it. And maybe my board chair gets it or my board president, right? Or my vice president gets it. People get it, right? But not expecting that everyone is going to be like a slow clap. This is the best thing. I totally understand it. So when somebody is like, I don't really understand it. I don't think social media is valuable, blah, 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 blah. What I would say to them is, influencer marketing has 5x the return of every dollar spent. That means that for-profit brands that invest in influencers to market for them, they put in $1, they get $5 out from the influencer machine, okay? Put in $1, get $5 out. The process I teach, no one else is teaching in our sector, full stop. and is free. We're not putting the dollar in. We are not paying the influencer. And that's part of why it's so valuable. It's such a valuable mission alignment. Okay. That's the first thing I would tell them is the influencer, the ROI there is so valuable. 2, the creator economy is just growing. It's only getting bigger. Okay. It's only getting bigger. So do we want to wait till, your husband, wife, brother, sister, neighbor is an influencer? Or can we just go ahead and start it now because we can see the stats? Go to our page. We will link to it. You can go to our sales page for the club. I have a graph that shows the rise of the creator economy against something like direct mail, which is tried and true. And guess what? You get to keep doing. I'm not telling you to get rid of your direct mail program. I'm telling you, don't expect to send out direct mail appeal to that same list, add on 20 people a year and suddenly see exponential growth. It's not happening, right? It's not happening. Okay. Last point I want to leave you with is it's fast. You can start or grow your street team in 30 days. 30 days from now, you could have your first launch for your campaign. 30 days. I've had clients come to me and say, it's Q1, Christina. We don't even have a plan to fundraise, right? They're like, what are we doing? Right? Great. Social street team time. Okay. You can start or grow your street team in 30 days. Oh, second, one more piggyback point on that, which is if you're thinking, I've already tried this. We have already tried this. Here's the thing. No, you haven't. You have not followed the process that I teach. I can promise you haven't because you're listening to this and haven't gotten the results our clients get. Doubling their next fundraiser, $50K in additional revenue. One of our clients uses this same concept, our digital toolkit, the whole thing. They follow our complete process. They have unlocked major gifts from this. They are now, because of this process, bringing in hundreds of thousands of dollars of revenue using this process. So this works for small shops. This works for large established organizations. And if there's anything I can just say to button this up is don't wait. Don't wait, because what is the alternative? The alternative is we're going to do a little bit of this. We're going to try that. Please don't invest more in a 5K or an auction or something that you've never done before that is a time suck and money suck, right? Meaning there's a lot of upfront expenses attached. There's no expenses attached with this. This is you grabbing our scripts, grabbing our templates, branding your street team, which we teach you how to do this. And if you're thinking, how will I even find people mission aligned? You're going to come to our coaching call and I will help you through that. We have video trainings. We have worksheets to help you establish those audiences. And then I'm here to support you when you get stuck, when you're not sure, when you're ready to activate your street team. We support you all the way through the process. So that's it for today. If you have specific questions, I want you to do a couple of things. 1, you can always reach out to me at Splendid Consulting on Instagram or send me an email. 2, grab our brochure. Grab our brochure. We're going to link to it in the show notes and you can grab our brochure. We also have a done for you pre-written template for your board. We'll also link to that in the show notes. So you do not have to, if you have to get approval, you don't have to, come up with what to say from scratch. We've written it for you. Attach a PDF of our brochure to bring into your next board meeting. And one more to the one more thing, which is don't wait until your board meeting that's 3 months from now. Do not wait, okay? Call an emergency session. Ask for this to be approved. You don't want to start your street team in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months from now when you could be activating it and growing it today. There is no reason to wait on this. No reason to wait. All right, that's it. I'm fired up. I'm excited. I'll see you next time. Bye. Hey, high achiever. I know your sights are set on ambitious, world-changing goals. In the Purpose and Profit Club group coaching program, you can get the support, motivation, and strategy to accelerate your impact. I like to say it's where the inner work meets big impact and big funding. Go to splendidcourses.com/waitlist and you will be first to be notified when we open up doors and you'll get special bonuses when you join our waitlist. See you inside.